Most people lose their day before it even begins. Not because they are weak, not because they lack intelligence, but because the first words that enter their mind every morning are not chosen, they are absorbed. The alarm rings. The body moves. The phone lights up. Notifications flood in. Problems return. Yesterday's unfinished conversations whisper again. Regret replays. Anxiety forecasts the future. And before the sun fully rises, the mind is already scattered. You don't start your morning with intention. You start it with reaction. And reaction is the birthplace of a chaotic life. The Stoics understood something that modern people forget. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts. And the quality of your thoughts is shaped in the first quiet moments after you wake up. When you wake up, your mind is soft, open, impressionable, like wet cement. Whatever you press into it in those early minutes hardens throughout the day. Most people press fear into it, comparison, scarcity, pressure, noise. Then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed by noon. A disciplined mind does something different. It chooses its first words carefully. Marcus Aurelius wrote his reflections in the early morning not because he had time to waste, but because he understood something profound. If he did not govern his mind at dawn, the world would govern it for him. And the world is rarely gentle. The average person wakes up thinking, what do I have to deal with today? The Stoic wakes up thinking, who will I choose to be today? That difference changes everything. One is controlled by circumstance. The other controls his response. There's a quiet power in beginning your day with deliberate language, not empty affirmations, not forced positivity, but grounded, disciplined words that reshape your internal state, words that remind you who you are, words that anchor you before chaos begins. Because here's the truth most people avoid. Your suffering is rarely caused by events. It is caused by interpretation. And interpretation is built on language. If your internal language is weak, your perception becomes weak. If your internal language is strong, your perception becomes stable. You cannot control the traffic. You cannot control other people's moods. You cannot control the economy, the weather, or the past. But you can control the sentence that begins your day. And that sentence sets the tone for everything that follows. The mind is like a field. Left unattended, weeds grow naturally. Fear, doubt, jealousy, resentment. They require no effort. They thrive in neglect. Strength requires cultivation. Clarity requires intention. Peace requires discipline. The problem is not that people want better lives. The problem is that they start each morning unconsciously rehearsing the very thoughts that keep them stuck. They replay arguments. They anticipate failure. They predict rejection. They carry yesterday into today. And then they call it reality. But reality, in many ways, is shaped by focus. What you focus on expands in your awareness. If you begin your morning focused on lack, your day will reveal more lack. If you begin to focus on strength, your perception will seek strength. This is not mystical thinking. It is neurological conditioning. The brain strengthens whatever it repeats. If every morning begins with, I'm behind, I'm stressed, I'm not enough, your mind wires itself around inadequacy. But if every morning begins with clarity and grounded power, something shifts. Not dramatically at first, not loudly, but steadily. The Stoics did not rely on motivation. They relied on mental preparation. They expected difficulty. They anticipated discomfort. And yet they began each day grounded, not anxious. Why? Because they spoke to themselves before the world spoke to them. There's a silent war happening every morning inside you. On one side, impulse, distraction, emotion, habit. On the other side, discipline, awareness, intention, choice. Most people let impulse win because it is easier. It requires no effort to scroll, no effort to worry, no effort to complain. It requires effort to pause, to breathe, to think deliberately, to choose words with care. But effort is what separates a reactive life from a powerful one. If you want to rewire your mind, you cannot wait for inspiration. You must install structure. And one of the simplest structures is beginning each morning with intentional language that reflects the identity you are building. Not the identity shaped by your past, but the one aligned with your strength. Because identity precedes action. If you believe you are fragile, you will avoid discomfort. If you believe you are capable, you will step forward even when uncertain. And belief is reinforced by repetition. The modern world feeds you thousands of messages a day. Advertising tells you what you lack. Social media tells you who you should be. News tells you what to fear. Very few voices remind you of your inner stability. That responsibility belongs to you. If you do not speak strength into your own mind, weakness will find its way in. The disciplined person understands that mornings are not casual. They are sacred territory. The first thoughts of the day are like the steering wheel of a ship. Slight adjustments early prevent massive drift later. Most people attempt to change their lives by altering circumstances. Very few attempt to change their internal dialogue. But circumstances are unpredictable. Dialogue is trainable. Imagine beginning every morning not with anxiety, but with clarity. Not with pressure, but with purpose. Not with scattered thinking, but with grounded intention. This is not about denying problems. It is about deciding who you are in relation to them. Because problems are constant, your posture toward them is optional. Over time, small repeated words carve deep mental pathways. 5 deliberate words repeated daily can reshape the lens through which you interpret everything. Calm replaces urgency. Focus replaces distraction. Responsibility replaces blame. Gratitude replaces resentment. Strength replaces doubt. This is not dramatic transformation overnight. It is quiet rewiring. And quiet rewiring is sustainable. The question is not whether mornings matter. They do. The question is whether you will continue surrendering them to randomness or begin reclaiming them with intention. Because the mind you build at dawn becomes a mind that carries you through the storm. And storms are inevitable. The only thing that changes is whether you meet them scattered or steady. In the next part, we will begin with the first word, the foundation upon which mental stability is built. The first word is simple. Calm, not excitement, not intensity, not forced positivity. Calm, before ambition, before productivity, before performance. Calm is a foundation. Most people wake up and immediately accelerate. Their heart is already racing before their feet touch the ground. Their thoughts sprint ahead of reality. They are mentally arguing with people who are not even in the room yet. This constant internal speed creates invisible exhaustion. You cannot think clearly when your nervous system is in panic. You cannot respond wisely when your body believes it is under threat. And yet many people begin every single day in a low-grade state of fight or flight. Then they wonder why they are impatient, why they snap at small inconveniences, why they feel drained by noon. Calm is not weakness. It is control. The Stoics understood that external chaos is unavoidable. Crowds are loud. Opinions are relentless. Delays are constant. But inner agitation is optional. When you wake up and deliberately say to yourself, I choose calm, you interrupt the automatic pattern of anxiety. You remind your nervous system that there is no immediate threat. You step into the day instead of being thrown into it. Calm does not mean passive. It means grounded. There is a difference between intensity and instability. Many confuse the two. They believe that in order to succeed, they must constantly feel urgency. But urgency without clarity creates mistakes. Movement without stability creates burnout. Calm sharpens perception. When you are calm, you see clearly. You hear accurately. You interpret fairly. You do not exaggerate problems in your imagination. You do not personalize every inconvenience. You respond instead of react. Contrast this with the average morning. Alarm, phone, emails, comparison, rushed self-criticism. The mind begins the day fragmented. A fragmented mind struggles to create focused results, but a calm mind gathers its energy before releasing it. When you say the word calm, mean it physically. Slow your breathing. Sit still for a moment. Let your body settle. Notice the difference between reacting and observing. The world wants your attention immediately. Calm delays its surrender. It is a quiet rebellion against chaos. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning that he would encounter difficult people, not to create anxiety, but to prepare his posture. Preparation reduces shock. Shock creates emotional overreaction. Calm is preparation. When you expect friction, you are less disturbed by it. When you expect imperfection, you are less frustrated by it. Calm is not denial of difficulty. It is acceptance of reality without emotional collapse. The second word builds on the first. Focus. Once calm stabilizes you, focus directs you. Most people are busy. Very few are focused. Busy is scattered movement. Focus is deliberate movement. There is power in narrowing your attention. A distracted mind leaks energy. It starts tasks without finishing them. It checks messages mid-thought. It consumes information without applying it. By the end of the day, it feels exhausted yet unaccomplished. That exhaustion is not from effort. It is from fragmentation. Focus is a decision to concentrate on what matters and release what is not. When you wake up and say, "Today I focus," you are not making a vague promise. You are committing to intentional attention. You're choosing depth over noise. In a world engineered to distract you, focus is rare strength. Every notification competes for your awareness. Every headline competes for your emotion. Every opinion competes for your reaction. If you do not decide where your focus goes, it will be a sign for you. And misplaced focus creates misplaced emotion. If you focus on criticism, you feel attacked. If you focus on opportunity, you feel motivated. If you focus on what you lack, you feel inferior. If you focus on progress, you feel capable. Focus determines emotional experience. This is why the second word matters. Calm stabilizes the body. Focus directs the mind. Together, they create grounded momentum. The undisciplined person allows his attention to drift wherever stimulation is strongest. The disciplined person anchors his attention to what aligns with his values. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means prioritizing it correctly. There will always be something to worry about. There will always be someone doing better. There will always be problems unresolved. But if your attention is constantly scattered among them, you will never build momentum in any direction. Focus is quiet power. It is saying no internally before you are forced to say no externally. When you cultivate focus, you stop chasing every opportunity. You choose the right ones. You stop arguing with every opinion. You engage only where it matters. You stop proving yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you. That restraint creates strength. A focused mind does not need constant validation. It measures progress internally. And here is a deeper shift. When calm and focus combine, confidence begins to grow naturally. Not loud confidence, not performative confidence, but stable confidence rooted in clarity. You no longer feel pulled in multiple directions. You move with intention. Most anxiety is not caused by too much responsibility. It is caused by unclear priority. Focus clarifies. Calm steadies. These first two words are not dramatic. They are disciplined. They create a mental environment where wisdom can operate. Without calm, focus collapses into stress. Without focus, calm dissolves into laziness. Together, they create controlled movement. When you repeat these words each morning, you are not hypnotizing yourself. You are conditioning your nervous system and your attention patterns. The brain strengthens what it practices. Practice panic, and panic becomes natural. Practice steadiness, and steadiness becomes natural. You cannot control the entire day in advance, but you can control the state in which you enter it, and the state you enter with influences every interaction that follows. In the next part, we will explore the third word, the one that shifts you from passive observer to responsible architect of your life. The third word is responsibility. Not blame, not guilt, responsibility. There's a profound difference. Blame looks outward. Responsibility looks inward. Blame asks, who caused this? Responsibility asks, what can I control now? Most people wake up already carrying silent blame. They blame their past for their hesitation. They blame other people for their emotional triggers. They blame circumstances for their stagnation. Blame feels powerful in the moment because it protects the ego. It says, it's not my fault. But over time, it quietly weakens you. Because if everything is someone else's fault, then nothing is within your power to change. The Stoics rejected this mindset entirely. They divided life into two categories: what is within your control and what is not. And they trained themselves relentlessly to focus only on the first. Responsibility is the bridge between intention and transformation. When you wake up and say, I take responsibility, you are not condemning yourself for every problem. You are reclaiming authorship of your responses. Your emotions are influenced by others, yes, but they are governed by your interpretation. Your past shaped you, yes, but it does not imprison you unless you allow it to. Your environment may be imperfect, but your reaction to it is still yours. Responsibility is not heavy. It is liberating. When you accept responsibility, excuses dissolve. And without excuses, progress accelerates. Contrast this with the reactive mindset. The reactive person says, they made me angry. The responsible person says, I allowed myself to be provoked. The reactive person says, I don't have time. The responsible person says, I have not prioritized it. The reactive person says, life is unfair. The responsible person says, given reality, what is my next move? The difference is subtle, but the outcomes are enormous. Responsibility returns power to you. It shifts you from victim to participant. It does not deny hardship. It acknowledges it without surrendering agency. When you repeat this word in the morning, you prime your mind to look for choices instead of obstacles. You begin scanning for solutions instead of rehearsing complaints. And something changes in your posture. You stand differently when you feel responsible for your life. You speak differently. You decide faster. You hesitate less. Because you no longer wait for permission. This does not mean you control everything. It means you control your effort, your attitude, your discipline, and your integrity. And those four alone are enough to reshape a future. The fourth word builds directly on this. Discipline. Responsibility without discipline is intention without execution. Many people know what they should do. Very few consistently do it. Discipline is not punishment. It is alignment between your values and your actions. It is waking up when you said you would. IT is finishing what you started. IT is choosing long-term stability over short-term comfort. In the modern world, comfort is abundant. Entertainment is instant. Distraction is infinite. Discipline, therefore, becomes rare. And rarity creates advantage. When you wake up and say, I choose discipline, you are not declaring perfection. You are declaring commitment. Commitment to showing up even when motivation fades. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. Discipline is structural. It remains when emotion fluctuates. The undisciplined person waits to feel ready. The disciplined person acts and allows feelings to follow. There will be mornings when you do not feel strong, when doubts are louder, when the bed feels heavier, when yesterday's failures linger in your mind. Discipline is choosing movement anyway, not aggressively, not harshly, but steadily. Small, consistent actions reshape identity. If you repeatedly act with discipline, you begin to see yourself as disciplined. An identity, once solidified, sustains behavior more powerfully than willpower alone. Contrast the disciplined life with the impulsive one. The impulsive life chases mood. It starts projects in excitement and abandons them in boredom. It makes promises under pressure and breaks them under fatigue. The disciplined life is quieter. It builds slowly. It trusts consistency more than bursts of intensity. And over time, the quiet builder surpasses the loud starter. Discipline protects you from your weaker impulses. It prevents temporary emotion from dictating permanent decisions. It creates predictability in your behavior, which builds trust, both internally and externally. When you trust yourself to follow through, anxiety decreases. Much of anxiety is rooted in self-doubt. If you repeatedly break your own commitments, you begin to distrust your future actions. But when you keep promises to yourself, confidence becomes natural. Responsibility says, it's on me. Discipline says, I will act. Together they transform intention into reality. Without responsibility, you wait. Without discipline, you drift. With both, you build. Every morning is an opportunity to strengthen these traits incrementally, not dramatically, not perfectly, but incrementally. 5 deliberate words spoken daily may seem insignificant, but repetition compounds. Just as negative self-talk slowly erodes confidence, disciplined language slowly fortifies it. You are not trying to become someone else. You are trying to align with your highest capacity. And that alignment requires structure. Calm stabilizes, focus directs, responsibility empowers, discipline executes. 4 words, 4 pillars. But there is one final word that ties them together. The word that prevents discipline from becoming cold, responsibility from becoming harsh, and focus from becoming obsessive. In the next part, we will explore that final word, the one that anchors strength and meaning rather than ego. The 5th word is gratitude. Not surface-level gratitude, not forced optimism, but grounded recognition. Gratitude is what keeps strength from turning into arrogance. It is what keeps discipline from becoming self-punishment. It is what keeps responsibility from hardening into self-criticism. Without gratitude, self-improvement becomes endless dissatisfaction. Many people chase growth from a place of deficiency. They wake up thinking about everything they are not, everything they have not achieved, everything still missing. That mindset fuels ambition temporarily, but it quietly breeds restlessness. Gratitude changes the emotional foundation. When you wake up and say, "I am grateful," you are not denying your goals. You are acknowledging your current position without resentment. Resentment drains energy. Gratitude restores it. The Stoics practice negative visualization, imagining loss, not to create fear, but to cultivate appreciation. When you realize that what you have could be taken, you stop treating it as ordinary. Your breath is not guaranteed. Your relationships are not permanent. Your opportunities are not endless. Gratitude sharpens awareness of this reality, and awareness deepens presence. Most people rush through their mornings blind to what is already working in their lives. They focus only on what is incomplete. That constant scanning for lack creates chronic dissatisfaction. But dissatisfaction without appreciation becomes bitterness. Gratitude stabilizes ambition. It allows you to strive without feeling empty. Contrast 2 individuals pursuing the same goal. One wakes up frustrated by how far he still has to go. Every step feels insufficient. Every milestone feels small. He measures himself against others constantly. Even when he progresses, he feels behind. The other wakes up acknowledging progress already made. He recognizes effort invested. He appreciates lessons learned. He still aims higher, but he does not despise his present. Who sustains momentum longer? The one who is grateful. Because gratitude creates emotional fuel. It reminds you that growth is privilege, not punishment. When you combine gratitude with discipline, your efforts feel purposeful rather than desperate. When you combine gratitude with responsibility, ownership feels empowering rather than heavy. When you combine gratitude with focus, attention becomes intentional rather than obsessive. Gratitude softens intensity without weakening it. It reminds you that strength does not require constant tension. There is also another dimension. Gratitude reduces comparison. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to destabilize the mind. Social media magnifies it. Culture encourages it. You see curated success, filtered happiness, edited achievements, and you measure your unedited life against them. Gratitude interrupts that cycle. When you consciously acknowledge what is already present in your life, your health, your lessons, your resilience, your support, you shift from scarcity to sufficiency. And sufficiency creates calm confidence. This does not mean complacency. Complacency says, "This is enough. I will not grow." Gratitude says, "This is meaningful. I will build from here." The difference is subtle but profound. Many high achievers burn out because they never pause to appreciate. Every accomplishment becomes immediately outdated. Every success becomes baseline expectation. Without gratitude, there is no arrival, only endless pursuit. But with gratitude, even small progress feels significant, and significance sustains discipline. There's also a relational impact. When you begin your day grounded in gratitude, your interactions soften. You listen more carefully. You react less aggressively. You appreciate people instead of silently resenting them. Your presence changes. Gratitude reduces entitlement. Entitlement expects ease. Gratitude respects effort. Entitlement reacts strongly to inconvenience. Gratitude absorbs inconvenience with perspective. The Stoics did not expect comfort. They appreciated stability when it came. They did not demand praise. They valued contribution. They did not cling to outcomes. They respected effort. Gratitude aligns you with that posture. It prevents your pursuit of excellence from turning into dissatisfaction with existence. When you repeat this fifth word each morning, pause and identify something specific, not vague appreciation. Specific recognition. A lesson learned at a person who stood by you, a difficulty that strengthened you, a skill you are building. Specificity deepens emotional impact. Over time, gratitude rewires perception. Instead of scanning for flaws first, you begin noticing value first. Instead of assuming threat, you assume opportunity. Instead of expecting disappointment, you anticipate growth. This shift is subtle but transformative. Calm centers you. Focus directs you. Responsibility empowers you. Discipline moves you. Gratitude grounds you. 5 words. Simple in language. Profound in practice. But repetition is what makes them powerful. A single morning changes little. 100 mornings reshape identity. The brain is plastic. It adapts to repeated patterns. If your mornings consistently reinforce chaos, your mind becomes chaotic. If your mornings consistently reinforce stability, your mind becomes stable. You cannot speak weakness into yourself daily and expect resilience to appear spontaneously. You cannot rehearse anxiety and expect peace to feel natural. What you repeat becomes familiar. What is familiar becomes comfortable. What is comfortable becomes identity. And identity shapes destiny more than circumstance ever will. These words are not magic. They are mental training. They are anchors in a drifting world. But understanding them is not enough. They must be practiced with intention. In the final part, we will bring these 5 words together into a unified morning ritual and explore how consistent repetition quietly reshapes not just your day, but your character. The 5th word is gratitude, not surface-level gratitude, not forced optimism, grounded gratitude. Without gratitude, discipline becomes rigid. Without gratitude, responsibility feels heavy. Without gratitude, focus becomes obsession. Without gratitude, calm turns into emotional detachment. Gratitude softens strength without weakening it. Most people believe gratitude is something you feel after life improves. The Stoics understood the opposite. Life feels improved after gratitude becomes a habit. Gratitude is perspective. It is remembering that even on difficult days, there are foundations holding you up. Breath, consciousness, opportunity, the ability to choose your response. Many people wake up immediately measuring what they lack. They compare their progress to someone else's highlight reel. They count unfinished goals. They rehearse what went wrong yesterday. Scarcity thinking narrows the mind. Gratitude expands it. This does not mean denying ambition. It means building ambition on appreciation rather than desperation. There is a difference between striving from inspiration and striving from inadequacy. When you strive from inadequacy, you believe success will finally make you worthy. When you strive from gratitude, you build because you are already grounded. One is frantic, the other is steady. Gratitude reminds you that growth is a privilege. You are alive to improve. You are aware enough to reflect. You are capable enough to change. Even struggle is proof of engagement with life. The person who feels nothing has stopped trying. The person who struggles is still in motion. When you wake up and say, "I am grateful," you interrupt the scarcity loop. You train your mind to notice what is working instead of obsessing over what is missing. This shift changes your emotional baseline. Instead of beginning your day feeling behind, you begin feeling equipped. Instead of starting resentful, you begin receptive. And receptivity increases clarity. A resentful mind misinterprets neutral events as attacks. A grateful mind interprets challenges as training. Consider the contrast. 2 people face the same obstacle. One thinks, "Why does this always happen to me?" The other thinks, "This is difficult, but it will sharpen me." The external event is identical. The internal narrative is not. Gratitude transforms resistance into refinement. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that obstacles were not interruptions of the path. They were the path. That perspective requires gratitude for difficulty itself. Not because pain is pleasant, but because it strengthens character. When you are grateful even for hardship, you become difficult to break. You stop expecting life to move according to your comfort. You start expecting it to challenge you. And when challenges arrive, you are less shocked. Gratitude removes entitlement. Entitlement creates constant disappointment because reality rarely conforms to personal expectation. Gratitude accepts reality first, then works within it. This is quiet power. It is easy to be grateful when everything flows smoothly. It is strength to be grateful when progress is slow. Gratitude does not eliminate ambition. It stabilizes it. Without gratitude, achievement feels empty. With gratitude, even small progress feels meaningful. And meaning sustains effort longer than excitement ever could. Look again at the 5 words. Calm, focus, responsibility, discipline, gratitude. They are simple, almost ordinary, but practiced daily, they reshape perception. Calm steadies your nervous system. Focus channels your attention. Responsibility restores your agency. Discipline aligns your actions. Gratitude anchors your mindset. Together they create internal order, and internal order precedes external success. Most people attempt to control outcomes before they control themselves. They want recognition before they cultivate stability. They want results before they refine character. The Stoic approach reverses this. Control your reactions, strengthen your habits, refine your thinking, then allow outcomes to unfold. When your inner foundation is stable, external fluctuations lose their ability to destabilize you. You may still feel emotion. You may still encounter setbacks, but you are no longer thrown off balance by every shift. The disciplined mind expects fluctuation. The reactive mind expects comfort. And expectation determines disappointment. If you expect life to be unpredictable, you prepare accordingly. If you expect constant ease, you remain fragile. These 5 words are not magic. They are mental anchors. Anchors do not stop storms. They prevent drifting. Every morning you have a choice. Drift into the day with inherited anxiety, scattered attention, subtle blame, impulsive behavior, and quiet resentment. Or anchor yourself intentionally. No one else can do this for you. Not a mentor, not a partner, not a motivational speaker. Your internal language is private. It is built in silence. And because it is built in silence, it is powerful. Small repeated phrases alter neural pathways. They reshape automatic responses. They shift identity gradually until discipline feels natural instead of forced. You do not wake up one day transformed. You wake up one day realizing you respond differently. That is rewiring. You notice you pause before reacting. You finish tasks you once abandoned. You speak more deliberately. You complain less. You recover faster from setbacks. The world may look the same, but your lens has changed. And when your lens changes, your experience changes. In the final part, we will bring these 5 words together into a single morning practice. Not complicated, not dramatic, but powerful enough to reshape the direction of your life if practiced consistently. Now bring them together, not as scattered ideas, not as abstract philosophy, but as a daily practice. 5 words. Calm, focus, responsibility, discipline, gratitude. Each morning, before the world enters your mind, you enter your own. Do not rush it. When you wake up, resist the impulse to reach outward. Do not check who needs you. Do not check who posted what. Do not check what went wrong overnight. Check yourself first. Sit still, breathe slowly, and begin. Calm. Feel your breathing slow down. Let your body settle. Remind yourself that urgency is not required for effectiveness. The day has not defeated you. It has not even begun. You are not behind. You are present. Calm is your baseline. Then say, focus. Decide what matters today. Not 10 things. Not everything. The few things align with your long-term direction. Narrow your attention. Refuse to scatter it. Attention is currency. Spend it deliberately. Then, responsibility. Whatever happens today, your reaction is yours. If someone is difficult, your composure is your responsibility. If a plan fails, your adjustment is your responsibility. If progress is slow, your persistence is your responsibility. This word returns your power. Then, discipline. You will act even when motivation fluctuates. You will finish what you begin. You will choose long-term clarity over short-term comfort. You will move steadily, not emotionally. Discipline converts intention into structure. Finally, gratitude. Acknowledge something real, something specific, a lesson, a person, an opportunity, even a chance to improve again today. Let appreciation ground your ambition. Now the 5 words are no longer concepts. They are posture. When practiced consistently, something subtle begins to change. Your mornings feel less chaotic. Your reactions feel slower, more deliberate. Your speech becomes measured. Your attention becomes sharper. Your effort becomes steadier. Not because the world became easier, but because you became organized internally. This is the hidden advantage of mental discipline. It is invisible to others at first. There is no dramatic announcement, no external validation, but internally there's alignment. Most people search for life-changing breakthroughs. They want a single moment that transforms everything. But transformation rarely happens in a moment. It happens in repetition. 5 words, repeated daily for a year, will do more than a single burst of inspiration ever could. Inspiration fades. Structure compounds. Consider who you become after 100 mornings of deliberate grounding. After 200, after 300, your nervous system adapts to calm. Your mind adapts to focus. Your identity adapts to responsibility. Your habits adapt to discipline. Your perspective adapts to gratitude. Eventually, these are no longer words you repeat. They are traits you embody. You do not force calm. You default to it. You do not struggle for focus. You guard it naturally. You do not avoid responsibility. You assume it automatically. You do not debate discipline. You execute. You do not search for gratitude. You see it everywhere. That is rewiring. And rewiring changes trajectory. The reactive version of you fades. The impulsive version weakens. The anxious version loses dominance. In its place stands someone steadier. Someone less shaken by opinion. Less distracted by noise. Less discouraged by delay. Less inflated by praise. Less broken by criticism. Not emotionless, but regulated. Not passive, but intentional. Life will still present uncertainty. People will still misunderstand you. Plans will still shift unexpectedly. Loss will still visit. Success will still fluctuate. But your center will hold. Because you train it daily. There is no secret technique hidden behind complexity. There is no mystical shortcut. There is only repetition and awareness. You either allow your mornings to shape you unconsciously, or you shape them consciously. Every sunrise is neutral. It carries no meaning until you assign one. If you begin each day scattered, your life will feel scattered. If you begin each day grounded, your life will gradually align with that grounding. The Stoics did not control empires because they controlled circumstances. They influenced history because they control themselves. Self-mastery is quiet. It rarely attracts attention at first, but over time, it builds something unshakable. The world does not need more frantic movement. It needs steadiness. And steadiness begins in the morning. 5 words. Simple, repeatable, powerful, calm. So nothing external owns your nervous system. Focus, so your attention serves your values. Responsibility, so your power remains in your hands. Discipline, so your intentions materialize into action. Gratitude, so your strength remains grounded in meaning. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, begin again. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly, and keep going. Because the life you build is not determined by a single decision. It is determined by what you practice daily. Practice these words long enough, and one day you'll look back and realize that your mind no longer reacts the way it once did. It responds. And that difference changes everything.